The BILT Learning Labs, as I said, they provide a learning opportunities for TVET stakeholders, whereby they can both gain insights to new approaches and learn how to adapt and replicate elements to their specific contexts. And today we'll be focusing on extended realities, such as the virtual reality and augmented realities in TVET. And we will be hearing from speakers from 4 different institutions, from Vietnam, Germany, and Ghana. And as we contemplate on the title of this learning lab, which is VR in Vocational Education and Training, looking at the promises and pitfalls, most of the time we tend to focus on the promises and forget about the pitfalls. But as we move on, we want also to dissect and look at the pitfalls, all challenges that are brought about by this integration of technologies in TVET. And we're going to draw insights from the 2023 UNESCO Global Education Monitoring Report, which highlighted the key elements of technology in education and posed a question that EdTech is a tool on whose terms. So looking at this report, there is minimal critical evidence in EdTech that shows that there is added value to digital technologies in education. Therefore, there is a need for a balanced approach that examines both the benefits and limitations of these technologies. And also, as we know, sometimes EdTech brings in a lot of inequalities. So we're going also to ask ourselves how to bridge the gap between the technology that we introduce to our institutions and accessibility. Is every trainee able to access and use these technologies, or are we promoting more inequalities with the technology? So there is therefore a call for action to TVET institutions, and we should prioritize equitable access to EdTech for both trainers and trainees by critically evaluating the EdTech applications within the TVET context, and also advocating for policies that address systemic inequalities linked to this digital divide. TVET institutions should therefore align their EdTech initiatives with their overarching national and institutional strategies to secure the support and resources required for successful implementation. Thank you so much again for joining. And I now, without much further ado, wish to hand over to Jessica Rosenfeld, who is the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Philister. Can we have the next slide, please? Thanks. So we, as always, have an ambitious agenda today. As my colleague Philister said, my name is Jessica Rosenfeld, and I work for the German Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training, or BIB for short. We are always working to improve our learning labs, and based on the feedback from our participants, we know that you want more practical examples. So for this episode, we're bringing you 3 different examples of VR in TVET. First up, we're going to hear from Vietnam, ready for an update, VR simulator for wastewater treatment plants. Our second presentation will be from Germany with trainer insights into VR training applications for welding students. And our final presentation will come from Ghana, planning to extend reality, creating a VR lab for construction courses. After our pitches, we will move into our panel discussion and then on to our live Q&A, where you will have the opportunity to ask questions of our speakers today. Next slide, please. So, starting from left to right in an alphabetical order, we're joined today by Dr. Laurent da Tato. He is the CEO and founder of the VR educational provider Mimbus. Professor Humphrey Danzo, he is the Dean of the Graduate Studies School at AMUSTED. And Nguyen Nguyen Xuan Tan Nam, he is the Dean of the Environmental and Labor Protection Facility at HVC. And last but not least, Denny Phillip. He's a trainer and metalworker master at HW Koblenz. A warm welcome to all of our speakers today. I would now like to ask Nam to please start his presentation. And kindly note that Nam's presentation today will be given in Vietnamese. As previously mentioned, translation options are available for those of you who do not understand Vietnamese. Please ensure that you have selected the English translation option at the bottom of your screen. I would now like to pass the floor on to Nam. Hi, Nam. Is your presentation ready? Just one minute. Let me know when you're ready to share. Great. Ah, there we go. Wonderful.
Yeah, so I have just shared my slides. I hope it is clear to you all.
They are still in preview. Can we have full screen?
Yes. It takes a little bit to upload. Yeah, to move to the yes.
Thank you.
So I hope it is in the presentation mode now. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, perfect.
So, dear colleagues, friends, and presenters, I am going to share you some of our experiences in the use of VR at HVCT, my college. Yes, may I start? So first of all, on behalf of my college, I would like to express our gratitude to BIBB for all of the support for our participation in the workshop today. So in Vietnam, vocational training or vocational education and training has made a great level of efforts. Especially, we are making a lot of efforts in integrating with the world in approaching international standards. My college name is Ho Chi Minh City College of Technology number 2. We are governed by Vietnam Ministry of Labor. We have been 46 years of development. Every year we have between 4,000 to 5,000 students studying at our college. We focus on technical fields. Currently, we are providing training on an occupation that has been supported by Germany. That is sewage technique and wastewater treatment. So that means we are providing vocational training on sewage techniques and wastewater treatment. As far as the application of VR in vocational training, so thanks to the support from BMZ, from the program of reform of TVET in Vietnam, we have been supported with the installation of this virtual plant. And in which we provide the training to students on the operation of the drainage network. We provide training on maintenance of the drainage network. We provide operation and maintenance of the pumping station. This training we have piloted since 2015. And since when we have a cohort of TVET trainers together with partners from enterprises, from industry, together and jointly conduct the training. So in the application of the VR, in the training of Swiss techniques, since 2019, we started the training using this VR. We also use the VR when participating in WorldSkills. Specifically when we competed for the water technology occupation. From this WorldSkills, we gained one certificate of excellent skills in water technology occupation. During the competition, our competitor had to perform 7 tasks. Now we go to the benefit of the application of the VR. So obviously, the application of VR is very useful in demonstrating to students how the real plant operates. What are the actual operational procedures in a sewage technique and wastewater treatment plant? At the same time, this virtual plant is very useful for assessment and evaluation of the learning of our students. Second, maybe the second major benefit is that we've been able to use this virtual plant in the training of WorldSkill competitor. And third, we were able to use the virtual plant in a different exhibition for awareness raising and for awareness raising purposes. And from these exposures and from these different exhibitions, now 3 companies have agreed to support us and have agreed to use this virtual plant in jointly conducting vocational training with our college. At the exhibition, it is very, very useful that we have this virtual plant to demonstrate to visitors, demonstrate to those who are not familiar with the occupation, in understanding and getting the first idea about how an actual plant may operate. So these are some of the pictures. These are some of the pictures that can help you see how we conduct the training using the virtual plant, using the virtual classes in the wastewater treatment occupation. And we also reach some of the national and official media channel also came to us and also make video and also support with the advocacy and communication about the application of this virtual plant. And here are some more pictures. Here are some more pictures of how our students actually experiment and try using the virtual classes in their study. So altogether so far, and here are some pictures of our students participating in the national competition. And this is another picture of a female student experimenting the virtual plant. Can you see the video yet? Is the video? So this picture can tell you the work of a technician, a daily work of a technician. So this student, she participated in the competition, in the world competition in 2022, and she's wearing the virtual helmet, and she is exploring the daily work of a wastewater treatment technician. So so the everyday wastewater treatment technician is supposed to conduct regular check, regular visit throughout different component, different station of the virtual plant. So that is how excuse me a second. I think the video should I think the video should be played by the organizer because Nam has been explaining the video. Can someone run the video we can follow the explanation?
Nam and An, I actually think we're at time, so maybe we provide a link to the video if anybody would like to watch the video. But yeah, it's in the chat. Katarina has already posted it in the chat, but we're actually at time now. So if Nam would like to wrap up and conclude. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, the video cannot be played. Maybe a bit difficult to follow, but I hope that the link will be sent to all participants, and you can try check out the video clip later. Yeah, so now I continue. So here I would like to share some of the difficulties and challenges from the use of the virtual classes during the training time. So probably 3 major type of challenges that I hope will be some of the experiences for you. So probably in vocational training Vietnam, we are one of the first college TVET institutes that try this virtual plant. So at first it was not easy. There is always needed a guide, a person who is very familiar with the virtual plant to guide the training activity, to guide the use of this virtual plant. The software, the software seems to be very fixed, and it is not possible for us to adjust to the daily needs, to the diverse needs during the training and evaluation of student performance. I learned that in the coding, I learned that the coding structure of the software is very fixed, and again, therefore, it does not allow modification or adjustment for specific needs during our training. The software is also require a high level of memory to run, and therefore, it is very heavy. And since 2019, we have identified a number of gaps, a number of shortcomings of the software. Sometimes it's including instability. And we also try to contact the producer, the provider of this software, of this virtual plant, in order to try to adjust a little bit. We understand that this software, this virtual plant, is based on the actual procedures of a plant in Germany. But meanwhile, in Vietnam, some of our real plants actually operate on a different procedures. Therefore, there is a gap between the virtual plant and also with the real plant in Vietnam. And those are some of the difficulties. So from those experiences, we have some recommendations to share at our workshop today. I think that we need to find a software company that can help us to uncode or to uncode the software in order to adjust and modify and update to the specific needs at our college. But this we have not been able to do. And second, the connection with the virtual class should be wireless. So that will be more convenient. And that will also allow us to upload on YouTube. We also would like to recommend that to design such a software, such a virtual plant in an open-ended format, so that adjustments can be made based on specific needs during our training. This will be very useful and very helpful for trainers as well as for students to try out.
I'm sorry to interrupt you here, Nam and An, but we are severely over time now. So I'm going to kindly ask you to stop sharing your presentation so that we can move on to Denny.
Yeah, I need just 1 minute to wrap up. Can I have just 1 minute to wrap up?
Please wrap up and then we're moving to Denny. Thank you.
Yeah, about multiplication. About multiplication, again, as I said earlier, we should allow flexibility and expansion of such a software. There are many plants in Vietnam that we can share this virtual plant. Because if the virtual plant is flexible and is open-ended, then it can be applied to many real situations in Vietnam. And finally, we will be able then to also demonstrate to visitors and also students who visit our campus. So very briefly, those are some of the experiences from our application of the VR in vocational training. I look forward to your comment, feedback, and further inputs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nam. So we would now like to move to Denny, and we're a bit short on time, so I think we're going to have to cut a bit from our Q&A, but that's okay. We will move forward. So Denny, if you'd load up your presentation for us, and we'll hear all about your work at HWK Koblenz.
Yeah, for sure. First, thanks for having me for the first time now on Learning Labs. So I load up my presentation now. All right. We're gonna dig in. All right. So my name is Andy Philipp. I'm one of the instructors from a German Chamber of Crafts, and I'm a teacher for welding, the welding of steels. And yeah, we are using VR technologies, which I'm going to show you. Yeah, we've been using VR since the last couple of years now, and it has been absolutely an advantage for our education. And instead of telling you something you haven't probably seen before, I'm going to just show you, if that's okay with you.
Danny, we cannot hear it. The audio is not was not shared.
Oh, the audio
When
is not
sharing,
shared?
you need to tick a box saying that you also want to share audio.
All right, just give
So
me a
you would have
second.
to reshare.
Give me a second, give me a second. I'll figure this out. Okay, how I'm gonna do this now. Let's see, let's see.
I'll stop your share and then you reshare again, but you'll have to tick the box.
Oh, okay, all right, I see it now, all right. Oh, perfect, all right. Just let me know if something's not okay. So we move forward. All right, let's see if it works now.
Hello everyone. If you
Perfect.
are starting an apprenticeship in Germany, you have to visit some of the courses from the Handwerkskammer. My name is Andy Philipp. I'm a metalwork master and one of the instructors at the Handwerkskammer Koblenz. Right now, we have a course for metal builders. This is a course for metal active gas welding. Every trainee has its own booth and can practice on its own. Here at the front, I've got my own work table, where I show the different techniques of the welding process. Which leads us to the following problem. When I show something, currently we have a course for 15 people. Only 2 or 3 people can actually see what I'm really doing. What are my exactly steps? What are the small tricks that I'm working with? This is where the welding simulator comes in, which I just show you right now. So now I've got one of my apprentices, which I'm going to show a new welding technique. We've got an open practice here. And at the beginning, you can choose your difficulty level, which reaches from beginner to intermediate or advanced. Usually, we start with the beginner level. So, this is a course for gas metal arc welding. So, that's the process that we are going to choose. Now you can pick the kind of welding you want to do. Usually, we start with a T-joint, so that's what we want to pick now. And your position. We go with a horizontal position, which is a PB position. This is the choosing of the materials. We choose carbon steel, which is also called mild steel, and you can choose the thickness. We go with 10 millimeters. Here we can pick our electrodes, so that's what we want to do, and the diameter of the electrode. We go with 1 millimeter. Here you can choose the gas you want to weld with. So this is a gas metal arc welding course, so we go with the argon carbon mixture. This is the welding length. We pick just 100 millimeters, just for showing, and we choose one pass. You can choose what pattern you want to go with. We go usually with the straight pattern. And choose a continuous welding. My trainee likes to push us welding, so that's what he chooses. And now we can start our exercise. This is an overview of everything we have just chosen. And now he starts. And now you get a perfect simulation of 2 metal plates which are going to be welded. We've got our stinger and the welding here with some arrows which show you where to go and which speed and which angle. The circle here shows you the angle, your work angle, and these symbols here show you the distance. Are you too close? Are you too far away? So, if everything's okay, we can start the whole thing. And this is a perfect simulation. This is exactly what I'm seeing through my welding helmet. Usually only I can see that. So this is perfect. You can see everything he does with his hands. How fast is he going? Is he changing something? Is he changing the speed or the angle? How has he keep this hand still? Those two blue arrows show you the perfect speed of your welding. So now he's almost done. He's doing pretty good so far, I think. All right, the angle's almost perfect. Now he is done with his weld. That's what the simulator tells us. The weld is completed. So now we can use the cancel button and see our results.
Yeah, and this is how the results are looking like. Yeah, you can see your points in terms of your work angle and every exact angle and your speed, porosity, and these are all factors of a good welding. There's even a replay function if you want to see again what you've done before. My trainee here reached 95 points, which is excellent for a beginner level. Yeah, that's absolutely an advantage of the VR situation, because you can even do some competitions between your trainees. So if your trainees are a bit tired and don't want to learn something, it can motivate, absolutely. So everyone's invited, I guess. Yeah, but here is, in my opinion, the only pitfall or a drawback, whatever you want to call it. It's a tool and it's helping a lot. It's a good thing to improve all the welding skills, but you can't skip the real training. It's still something else to hold the stinger in your own hands, because it takes years to figure out how to hold your hands still and just be consistent. Yeah, but it's so much easier to share to my students what I'm doing. So thank you so much. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Denny. That was a great practical example. I would now like to move on to our third presentation for today. Sorry. So planning to extend reality. Humphrey, if you're ready to load up your presentation and get started. And here we have an interesting example of someone who is in the process of moving from curriculum and traditional-based learning into VR. So let's hear from Humphrey. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jessica. And thank you for the initial presenters on this wonderful work they are doing. Indeed, as you said it right, we are in the process of getting to the main VR, and watching these videos from Danny and others. It's very, very great for us for inspiration. Yeah, so I'll just present from Amstead, that's my university, is what we've done so far. We are in the process of getting to VR, and we are designing some models. So in collaboration with Commonwealth of Learning, we had a program that is called Strengthening TVET Training Through Design and Development of OER courseware. And the main aim of this was to design and develop the design and development of digital course material, that's the courseware for diploma construction technology program. And we designed, or we developed about 23 courses in construction for diploma. And we use a platform, Commonwealth of Learning, which I would like to log into the platform for us to have a feel of what it is and how it is. I would like to unshare and get shared, because I think probably you might not see the link I've opened right now. So let me go to the link online. All right. So those are LMS system that we are using. You need to have your login details. Then you have to log in. So I'm trying to log in. Let me share again. Place. Okay. All right. So I think, I believe you can see it now. So I'll input my login systems details to log in. When you log in, you come to the LMS interface as you can see it. We have a lot of courses. These are individual courses that have been developed and designed in the area. I'll come to the virtual reality lab later on. I want to just show you or take you through some few of the courses. These are all individual courses that we developed. And as you can see, we have them on here. I can scroll to the next, out to all the courses that we have developed, individual courses. I can scroll and get more courses. So we've developed all these on the LMS system. Let me show you how it works in the LMS system. Let me take one course. This is sustainable construction. When you take the course, this is the main interface, as you can see. Let me open. We have various chapters, and the chapters are developed in this form like books, as you can see there. You can download each of them as a book, and you can also have them in the form of chapters. So you can have the chapters as well. In the LMS system, there are chapters. So you can click on the introduction, go to the introduction of the course. When you get to the introduction, you can scroll down. We have the course outcomes, how the material is organized is explained here. Course assessment is explained here. Timeline, the framework of time that is used. We have some videos that can show you, introduce you to the course. So when you go to the video and click, it will play and take you through the materials. Because of time, we can't go through all of them. I'll just pause here for us to continue. Okay, so the video will take you through how the material is organized and used. Then within the course, as I said, we have different chapters. So you click on this, we have the course overview, we have course self-introduction. If you start taking the course, you have to introduce yourself. These are the main chapters: concept of green buildings, lean construction, sustainable development, sustainable building materials, environmental sustainability, among others. So you can just take maybe the first chapter, concept of greening. For instance, when you open, we have the concept here. We have introduction to that very chapter, reflection, outcomes of that chapter. You move to next. You click on next. It's taking you to the next stage, part of the material. You go to the concept of greening. You go to next, and it will be running you through that chapter. So we have developed these as a material on LMS. We have them, all the courses, we have developed them with a reading material on the LMS. And we are moving on now to what is very important to us. We have started with what we call, we go back, adopting virtual lab in TVET. So adopting virtual lab to TVET, that's the second level, which we have gone through series of activities in terms of virtual lab usage. And so you can go, when we went through the training component for like virtual lab experiments, we are doing or gone through the virtual lab development training and programs and all the factors under them. Each of them, when you are done, you move on to the next and we continue to work like that. And we have gone through virtual labs and developing virtual labs of converting the practical aspects of the materials and the experimental studies into virtual reality, where virtual labs, where you can see the experiment being performed within the virtual lab environment. And after that, our next stage, that is from January, we are going to now move in swiftly to VR, where we are going to use virtual reality to model the practical and experimental procedures and be able to get the experiments and practical aspects being run like Denny have exactly shown. That will be our final stage. So we are going through the processes. We have done the materials, everything that is needed, reading materials, entire with videos and other things online on LMS. We have gone through the virtual lab. That's what we are currently doing. We're going to complete that. Next year, we are zooming into the VR, virtual reality, where we can now model the practical activities with virtual equipment and others to be able to complete our procedure and make a complete program where when you are training the student, they have platform to go and read, to go and learn, to see simulations. Then they also have the ability to use VAR to be able to model and to practice some of the practical experimental procedure. Because of time, I know we are quite behind time. I wouldn't like to go further. I would like to pause here. We can now continue. Jessica, so over to you.
Thank you so much, Humphrey. So let's jump right into our panel discussion then. Yeah, where I want to start with actually this whole question of transforming existing traditional courses, like you were describing, Humphrey, into ones of extended reality tools can sometimes be a long, challenging, and resource-intensive process. And moreover, to develop an XR-based learning environment, TVET providers often work with external industry partners, such as yourself, Laurent. So I would like to actually start this question off with you then. So coming from an industry perspective, what have been your experiences with this process, and what tips could you provide to TVET providers who are looking to start this journey?
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Jessica. Thanks for the invitation today. Yeah, that's a great question because most of the time today there's a wow effect of the VR. So people are expecting to have content in the headset without all a proper setup, I would say. And for education and for vocational training, there's a great part of designing that has to be taken into account. So right at the moment you're thinking about VR for your organization, think about what you're doing today, what you want to do tomorrow. And you need to have skilled people. I'm not talking about VR provider. I'm talking about pedagogists, about scientific for education that will drive you and that are able to integrate that new method in the process. This technology really revolutionized the way you're teaching because you can make people practice right from the beginning. You can put people in danger. You can make them feel the real work right from the beginning. But that means that the education, the way they're learning is different. And also it's individualized because they work by their own and they can be tracked by the LMS Humphrey shared with us. So there's lots. The first thing I would say is prepare yourself. Get advice, find where VR can be useful and where there's no need for heat because you still need to practice in real. So make the good mix, prepare your team to get involved too, and then start to build up the process and integrate the content. Today, 90% of the time, people buy a headset, they gave the headset to the teacher and they said, the teacher, play with it, do whatever you want. And it's sometimes huge deployment. I'm talking of places where they deploy thousands of headsets to schools. So and I think it's a great mistake. And it can give the opposite effect. Teacher will reject because it's too complicated, because it doesn't work, so really prepare what you're doing upfront. Involve the team in your process, make sure everybody is aware, make sure you have return on investment expected at the end. So define the proper KPI to make sure you have what you expected at the end and follow that up day by day. So that's really my core advice to start up when you're looking for VR for vet education.
That's excellent advice. Nam, you have the longest running VR project out of everyone here, starting in 2019. So what has been your experience with this process when you started the development?
Yes. Lúc nãy yes. So yes. So in my college, I very much agreed that before we decide to apply VR in the training, we have to identify in which occupational field, which training field we would like to apply such a technology. And we also have to make it clear how much or whether VR can replace all of the actual real training activity or not. I think the level that VR can replace the real training activity really depends on the actual context and condition of each training institute. At the same time, it is important to identify the partner factory, the industry that can collaborate with us in conducting the training. So how much will apply the VR and how much we will apply the real training activity. Second, we need to identify the funding sources. We need to identify a sufficient funding. So how much we can mobilize from the government, from the private sector, we have to make a analysis how feasible and how attractive the training occupation that we are going to invest will be applied. I'm not sure about other countries, but in Vietnam at the moment, wastewater treatment is still considered as a difficult occupation, and not many students want to enroll in this occupation yet. Therefore, it is very important to conduct a thorough analysis about the feasibility about the needs in the society. And then from there on, we will decide how much we can apply VR technology in the training activity of such occupation. As well, we have to stay up to date with the technology development in the real factory. We need to be able to first update ourselves with the technology in the real life. And next, we need to be able to update such a technology in the virtual plant, so that students can be exposed to the latest technology. And those as well, those are the these updates needs to be exchanged regularly with our partner, especially the partner factory that collaborate with us in conducting the training.
That's a really interesting perspective, and it actually ties in then, if you're talking about the students and the benefits, to the next question. So moving kind of from these challenges to the benefits, I would actually like to throw one at Denny. Being an instructor, you're kind of in a unique position for how this technology plays out exactly. So what have you seen with this VR simulator firsthand as the greatest benefits for the trainees then?
Yeah, the first-hand benefits are probably the competition thing, I guess, which I had in my presentation. Yeah, there are different welding techniques that I'm using. There are some techniques which you could watch them pretty good, pretty close when I'm doing them in front of my students. But there are some things that I'm doing that I keep a plate of steel right straight before my face, and actually no one can see anything. Probably maybe it's just one or two students in the best case. Yeah, and this helping tool is excellent because really everyone can see what I am doing with my hands. Because it's really these small little tricks. How am I moving my fingers, where I am placing my arms and everything. A student needs to watch it all, absolutely. That's somehow gets lost in the practical thing, but with the VR solutions, it's possible nowadays, and so it's just a tool you just don't want to miss. Yeah, but absolutely, one or two drawbacks is the thing that you should still motivate your students to exercise in real life and not just on the VR. You can't skip it. And the other thing is you also have to motivate your colleagues, especially sometimes the older ones. They are in most cases pretty skeptical about the usage and don't, yeah, are actually a bit nervous. You can put it like that. The only thing that I have to do is to encourage these people just to use it, and if it's working good and no one wants to step back from it, that's just what I can tell you from my perspective.
Yeah, you brought up so in your experience, it's a very sector specific training. And I think we see that a lot in VR and its use and applications. But have there been other transversal skill sets that you've seen with VR nurturing? And this question also is for anyone who wants to answer it. Denny can also as an instructor, or if someone else has points that they think are valid here.
What I just can give you is it just does not work only for, let's say, the welding of steels. Now at our Chamber of Crafts here in Koblenz, we also use VR for, let's say, painters and even for plasterers. There are some simulators too, and I really mean plasterers this time, Jessica. Don't make no mistake with the ball spread now. Yeah, I really mean the plasterers. They are using it too, so it's absolutely a thing of the future. You can put it like that, yeah.
Yeah, I know, Humphrey, as you're currently engaged in transforming your own courses, how do you see this dynamic working when you're planning your VR? Are you looking at it very from this sector specific? Are you looking also integrating some transversal skills?
Yes, thank you very much, Jessica. In fact, for our current situation, we are looking at sector specific to develop the programs. In fact, in my institution, Amstead, we have quite a number of programs. So we are currently using the construction program as more or less a trial. And when we succeed, then we launch into other programs. Have Walden, as Denny is showing us now. Probably, Denny, I have to link up with you and see how best you can be of support to us in the world. And we have Walden, we have plumbing and gas, we have mechanical engineering, we have electrical electronics, we have wood and other programs. So we are currently concentrating on specific programs and see how we'll be able to migrate our programs into VR. Gradually, as we expand and we gain confidence and we gain competencies, I think we'll be able to look at the other aspect of it. And that is our current situation now. I hope by next year, this time, we'll have advanced a lot and we can really, at least for the construction trade area, be able to show a real VR application and usage to support our learners.
Okay, very interesting. So moving along, technology we know is ever evolving. We see changes in these extended reality moving not just from VR, but augmented reality. But there is this thought that experience in real life is still considered the gold standard. And as such, some say that the resource investment that's needed to develop these XR, VR tools and courses is not necessarily worth the return in the end. So Humphrey, as you're currently engaged in the planning, what are your thoughts on this matter?
Yes, can you just sum up the question again?
Sure. So it takes a lot of resource investment, not only money, but time to develop XR tools, VR tools. And some people would say that, well, traditional methods work just as well. So why should I invest this this resource, all of our resource allocation into this? So what would you say to that?
Yes, thank you very much. I think this is a very important question. It's important to invest in it. Currently, we have established a new virtual lab to take us through these processes. And as you said, it's quite a lot of investment moving further, but it makes learning easier. It makes learning easier. It makes learning real. One issue with TVET in terms of providing TVET delivery online is practical training. And this is one of the hindrance to the use of virtual reality or virtual learning in TVET. How do you practically practice what you are learning with virtual means? And that has been the biggest topic among all the virtual platforms in terms of applying TVET. And you know, TVET also hinders on practical training. So using VR makes the practical demonstrations, make all the experimental processes, it makes the demonstrations very real. And learners can easily use virtual reality and augmented reality to learn the practical, experimental, and simulation practices with no fear. And when they go through that, it prepares them very well. And therefore, it will support our call for blended learning, where we are blending both face-to-face and online. When we are dealing virtually, totally, it will really support the practical application, support the practices and laboratory experimental work. So we are investing, we need to invest in it, but the return is quite huge. It helps to accomplish the TVET training in terms of practicals being made possible through virtual means. Thank you.
Yeah. Nam, you had something you wanted to add? Please.
Yes, what I would like to add is that.
Oh, sorry. I was saying Nam. Nam had his hand up. My apologies.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yes. I would like to also share, make some comment to that question. In vocational training, practical training is a big part. But at the same, in the past, the quality of practical training depends a lot on the practical skills of the trainers, of the teachers. But now, with VR, we will be able to increase the quality of practical training. Because, and also by applying VR, we can ensure such a consistent procedures when we provide training to different students, to different class, in different context, in different environment. The training will not be affected by the, for example, psychology or the feeling of the trainer at that time. And next, applying, especially when we apply VR technology in the evaluation and assessment of the product, of the skills of our trainee, it helps mitigate the bias. It helps mitigate all the psychological factors that a trainer may have during when he or she conduct the evaluation. I agree that the virtual reality should not and cannot replace completely the traditional method. But having this as a supporting tool, we won't be able to increase the quality. At the end of the day, the students still need to make a real product for evaluation and assessment. Thank you.
Thank you. Laurent, I would be curious to get your perspective on this, and then also what your thoughts are on where the future is going with extended reality as well.
Yeah, the cost of it is a topic. Any new things, any innovation that comes with a price, and because it's innovation, it doesn't. It's not in your picture initially, so any cost will be expensive basically. So if you just work like that, and that's what I was saying before, just buying a set and you will try, then of course it's a cost, it's an investment, and it's a pain for the organization. You really need to think the thing as a project, evaluate return on investment and we can help people that as expert in this area can help evaluating the cost and evaluating the benefits. Because if I tell you the project or the design will cost 100,000, 10,000, whatever, a huge amount, you say it's expensive. But if I tell you it will save you 1 million, then you will say, oh, wow, that's great, let's do it. So that's really the topics today. Today, most of the projects runs everywhere in the world without any idea. Well, people say it's great, it's huge, I will save a lot, but no figures. Just, I'm guessing it will save a lot. And basically, we're just trying to think like it is today. It will replace the practical welding, the practical painting, but it can bring more because it tracks individual skills, transverse skills like concentration, combined with artificial intelligence, and that's answer to one of the other question you asked me. In artificial intelligence will help analyzing this data, speeding up the assistance to the instructor. So now, before we were able just to give a result of the skill evaluation for a student, now we can say to the teacher, this student needs to focus on that because we know that this kind of problem comes usually from a lack of this kind of like concentration, for instance. So as the artificial intelligence, I am supporting you, the teacher. Would you allow me to drive the student to this kind of specific curriculum, for instance? Or you can say to the student, oh, you're so good at that skill. Oh, don't you want to become a welder? You can go in that training center. You can get that salary. So this is what will come today. And remember that the headset is going down. The price of the headset is going down. Some people has headset at home. So like kids today are playing on TikTok, on Instagram and all that things. Tomorrow they will play and they will get their resource from the VR world too. So we can grab the kid from home or from anywhere or unemployed people and drive them to the employment through this kind of technology combined with artificial intelligence. Well, it's raised also the problem of identity, of GDPR, there's a lot of, controls that the authority should run. And there's a European Commission, there's a ILO, different organization working on that. But the power of VR for education is so huge that if the vocational training organization doesn't take that in charge right now, there will be, throw out of the game. And the industry player will say, okay, I will have VR in my facility and no need for a training center. So it's really now that the vocational, the VET organization has to integrate that in the process, not by buying VR headset, but by training the team to know how to use immersive solution for education.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, to your point of AI, we actually featured last year in another learning lab on micro-credentials. They had also used AI for targeting individuals for upskilling. But a similar dynamic that you were describing. So we'll see more and more of this technology, I think, coming into TVET and its uses as well. Does anyone have anything else they would like to add before we close the panel and move into our Q&A? Any of the points we've covered so far?
Yeah,
Denny,
I would
you've
have
unmuted.
something.
Go.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you can always ask yourself that question about the costs and the resources, but you can put an example just like in terms of using a navigation system in your car. I mean, people from the past always told you you can use a map. What's a problem? Just use a map and look at the environment and you remember the things. But nowadays, no one wants to drive without a navigation system. And one thing that I just forgot in the terms of welding, we've got some companies here that are building airplanes, which are also coming to us, like Lufthansa and all the Germans. They are building specific aluminium panels for their planes, and they have to train on a VR simulator to be able to weld them, because if they fail a welding, it's a cost from like 3,000 euros that are wasted. So if you are having like 50 people that are training that, and you count this cost now on each trainee, then you should probably consider using VR simulation. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. So
Yep.
the return on investment shows up in other aspects, not just directly with the teaching that we think of, as Laurent had pointed out. That's great.
Thank you,
everyone. It's been a really interesting discussion. And I will now pass the floor back to my colleague Philister, and she is going to take over our live Q&A. And to all of our audience members, if you could please direct any questions that you have to a specific speaker, that is helpful, and place them in the Q&A channel that you find at the bottom of your screen. My colleague Katarina has been collecting throughout the session. So take care. That's it from me.
Thank you, Jessica. That was very interesting discussions we had there. And I'm looking at the Q&A. And I think there's one question which is of great interest to everyone who is participating in this learning lab today. And actually, this is a question to Danny. And someone says, I've just come back from China where a vet college, they offer a degree in welding using robotics, cooker equipment, but you showed the use of VL in welding courses. Do you think the two methodologies, VL and robotics, are complementary, or do you think that one is better than the other? Maybe this will need more clarification. Danny, please.
Yeah, I think I already answered that. Yeah, just to be honest, I still don't have any experience with robotics in terms of welding. But
em thấy được có một đoạn rồi.
I'm sorry, I just have to tell you something to be honest. The translation on my Zoom workplace just doesn't work exactly. The Vietnamese translation is not working right now. Could you maybe just type your question in and I can answer it? It would be a bit easier. Yeah, with the thing to the robotics and VR, I would probably prefer the VR system because it's still a handcraft, a craft thing. You have to use your hands. I think that's what a chamber of crafts is all about. In my case, it works for us, but I wouldn't blame now the robotics for anything. I think they're still good, just not for our cases. Yeah, let's put it like that.
Okay, thank you, Danny. I hope that is clear now. We still have one more question. And the question states, the benefits of VR notwithstanding, access to these technologies is still out of reach for many TVET providers. What solutions are there to enable access to all and prevent promoting inequalities? Maybe over to you, Dalto, can answer that question.
Yes, the cost of it has a cost because you need to and not talking about the cost of the hardware or the software, but talking of the cost of changing the process, educating teacher and all that thing. So it's a global budget that is quite huge. I would say the benefits has to be evaluated, and usually it's a great benefits, but it takes probably months, sometimes years to set up everything and get these benefits. So you need help. You need help for the investment, basically. And this goes through, usually through funding partners. So there's a lot of NGO and public organization. It can be government, it can be more international NGO, all those players that are very focused, and there's policy today to invest into this kind of technology. And what I like also is that those funding partners, they are more educated now. They know what has to be done, so they are able also to drive you to get something that will work at the end to reach your return on investment. So it's true that it has a cost, but it has to be done. It's like renewing a house or rebuilding something. It needs to be done. It will not enable you to live in the house immediately, but you have to go through that. So the question is more how you get access to this program, and you need to be aware of this kind of program. So I guess probably UNESCO can share some of this information. There's information from International Labour Organization, from the World Bank, from different funding partners everywhere in the world that are working on that. So have a look at that, try to build up a project to invest and renew your training system, and make sure you track the benefits, because that's the things that make it sustainable at the end.
Thank you, Delta. We have one more question to all. Feel free to just come over and answer. How do you evaluate the students after they have trained with VR?
Yes, I don't know. Yeah, I think this question is to me. Yes, when we use our LMS, we have assessment instruments that are inbuilt, and the learners are supposed to go through the assessment to complete the models. So with the platform, the LMS system we are using, we have assessment process. We have 2 or 3 main assessments each unit. We have what we call self-assessment, where you have to take up, there are some questions for you to illustrate and demonstrate. Then we also have what we call forums, where some questions are posed for you to share your experiences after you've gone through the materials. So with respect to the LMS system, we have assessment instruments that are inbuilt, and you need to go through all the steps, all the procedures to complete it before you can say that you have completed a model or a chapter or a unit. And until that is ticked, you have not completed. So with the LMS system, assessment is inbuilt. Thank you.
Thank you, Humphrey. Now, please.
I would like to comment on the sustainability aspect. So first of all, as we discussed, VR can support to a great deal of real training activity. Nevertheless, the software needs to be designed in an open characteristics that will allow us to make adjustment, to make update based on technology development in the real factory. So with that, we will be able to sustain and also to extend the use and the relevance of such a virtual model. In the future, I hope that in Vietnam, we will be able to mobilize necessary resources to set up like a forum or maybe a pool of teachers and trainers who have experiences in using VR in our training. And we will share experiences in updating the existing virtual plant. So that's my comment and contribution to the sustainability aspect.
Thank you, Nam. The question of sustainability is indeed an issue when it comes to introduction of new technologies, VR, and I remember we had a very interesting discussion some times back with Laurent. And I want to move on to the final maybe question. It's not a question, but there is a very interesting comment from participants. And I would like our panelists to tell us how they feel about this comment. So what is your reaction to this comment from the audience? They say that in virtual practice, only 1 or 2 senses are engaged, while other senses are not utilized, limiting the learner's ability to fully perceive and understand the experience. What can you comment about that? Maybe Denny, can start since you interact more with students in the training environment.
Yeah. So I think it's a good way to use the VR to let's say to improve or get a lot better in a much shorter time. Because maybe you are training like for months or maybe years, but are doing still the same mistakes you did years before. With the VR solution, you can really analyze everything of your working. What are you doing? Really, exactly everything. They are looking at aspects that you wouldn't come up with on your own mind. And in this case, it can help a lot just to speed up your learning process. Absolutely. It doesn't replace anything in real life. Absolutely. But just use it as it is, a helping tool.
Yeah, Felicia, if I can add to your
Yeah.
question about how to use the VR and the fact that yes, the setup of the VR room also has to be aligned with the way you're teaching. So when you're thinking I have 20 students, I need 20 VR headsets, it's not the right way to approach the content. Seeing someone else doing the work, like a student that can advise the other one in the headset. And you know, it's the last level of knowledge. When you are able to explain to your colleague how he has to do to perform, that means that you mastering the skill. So that's very interesting to work on that. That's very interesting to work together and just all the class see one people working in VR and the teacher will play with that. It can be a small group and the teacher will just track what's happening in different groups, but definitely having people isolated all working in VR headsets, it's probably not the best efficient, the most efficient way of teaching with VR. So that's part of designing the VR content, integrating into the curriculum, into ULMS and all that things. Again, the way you're teaching will create the return on investment, not the tool. The tool is like a smart board, it's just VR. The content creation is essential. The way you're tracking the skill is essential. And the way you integrating that into the curriculum is really the paramount matter you need to concentrate on.
Thank you. I think we still have 1 more minute before I hand it over to Katarina for closing. We have one more question from Adama. And this one asks, can extended reality or virtual reality be applied in the training of students for cookery and pastry courses? Our institution specializes in training cooks, waiters, housekeepers, and receptionists. So can we apply VR in hospitality industry?
Yeah. Yes, we can. Or I can answer on that too. There's a lot of content today everywhere on the marketplace. You can check by yourself. If you Google it, you will find some of them. The quality of the content is still interesting. We have few content for food industry on the market today. It can be food preparation, food safety, process on how processing food most of the time. Also well, there's still a lot of places where content can be created or improved. Most of the time it's really basic content looking at one specific things like catering, like I don't know, housekeeping or thing like that, but very specific process. What Nam is mentioning about having the content easy to adapt to your needs is also something the providers need to work on, because often it's really focusing on one specific things. But there's few content. I would be happy to share some existing content and some links to existing content after the conference. If you can just send me an email and I will answer to you.
Thank you. That marks the end of the Q&A, and I now want to welcome Katarina for closing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Felista, and hello, everyone. My name is Katharina Engel. I'm the BILT Project Manager at the Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training, BIVB, and it was very exciting to follow the exchanges today. I think what's clear from the discussions that we had is that the potential of VR for TVET, for more inclusive, safer, and also less resource-intensive TVET, and to support TVET, is too important to ignore. And we need more exchanges like today on what actually works. If you would like to continue your journey into the world of VR or XR, extended realities, we have some BILT resources for you to check out, and you can see them here on the slide. And I think the relevant links are also posted in the chat. The first one I would like to highlight here is the database of innovation and learning practices that we have in our BILT project website. And one example that you can see here on the slide with the QR code is actually an inspiring practice that is linked to work that Nimbus has done in Pakistan. So that might be an interesting starting point. And if you have innovative TVET policies and practices to share with us, which focus on integrating extended reality in TVET, we would really like to hear from you. At the moment, we have a special focus in the BILT project on the building and construction sector, so your hints to innovation in that specific field are particularly welcome. Our BILT expert group on TVET in building and construction is continuously collecting input. So do contact us via email, on LinkedIn, or even still here in the chat if you have anything to share. And you can also get an insight into the work of the BILT expert groups in upcoming events, and these are collected in our next slide. You can actually meet us in the Greta webinar that's upcoming this Thursday on Building Green. So you see the link to the building and construction expert group here. Or if you are more interested in the hospitality and tourism sector, and I think we have some participants here that might be interested in that, you can also join us in the Pacts for All Tourism Talks series. This will also happen this Thursday, so there's a lot coming up. And the details, as you can see, are on the slide with the QR code. I would like to conclude now by thanking today's speakers again. You gave us really precious insights into your work, and judging from the interactions that we had also in the chat and in the question and answer tool, you have really inspired our audience. Thank you for that. I would also like to thank our excellent moderators, Felista and Jessica, and the teams behind the scenes at UNESCO-UNEVOC and BIPP. Before we wrap up, just one small reminder, there is a short feedback survey that you can access through the QR code here on the slide, but it will also shared with you by email after the Learning Lab has closed. And I would like to kindly ask you to take a moment to fill it in. Your feedback is really valuable to us. So now it is time for a final big round of virtual applause to all of us from across the international BILT network in Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe, and beyond. You are our extended TVET reality. On behalf of myself and my colleagues at BIPP and UNESCO-UNEVOC, thank you again for joining us today. Share about your experience using the BILT hashtag on social media and stay up to date about upcoming BILT activities. Thank you again, and see you next time.